It's Friday. This is the Sean Spicer Show. We have made it through the work week. We got a lot to break down as we head towards the week of the Democratic National Convention. I'm going to break down the states and where they are. Let's get into it. All right, guys, good Friday to you. What a long, enjoyable week that has been. So much that keeps happening politically. I know I said this at the beginning of the week, but it never calms down. July and August are supposed to be quiet. Labor Day kicks off the election season. And yet here we are, week after week, an event all the time, shaking things up. My goodness, we have seen a ton of shakeup. Today, I want to break down the road to 270. Right? How do you get to 270 votes? I told you this a long time ago. National polls, they're okay to show the direction of things, the mood, if you will, maybe the momentum that somebody has. But at the end of the day, this really comes down to those 5 or 6 battleground states that are going to make a difference. How do we get to 270? What are the different iterations? Donald Trump can still win big. I mean, think about it. He takes the whole blue wall, Michigan, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. It's over. He's well over 300. But there's a lot of scenarios that are evolving now about how it could be a lot closer. I want to show you those and what has changed since Harris got into the race. And also talk about, I think, the importance here. All right. I want to tell you about my friends at Ramp before we get into this, because if you are running a business or the person that is in charge of the finances and you've got a handful of employees or more, you want to hear this. I think I've told you this before, but we had a guest on the show who checked this out afterwards, and he was like, you cannot believe what this has done for us. Now, Ramp offers 2 really cool things together. A corporate card, like the one that you issue to your employees so that they can spend money if they're traveling, if they need to buy stuff on the company. Plus, it's also an expense report. And it is unbelievable, the synergy that exists here, how efficient it will be for you, how much time you will save through the Ramp system. You are able to issue cards to all of your employees, virtually or actual real cards, and automate expense reporting. You can set limits. You can decide where and when and how. It really will make your company run better, have greater accountability, and streamline the process. You don't have to chase down receipts or spend hours on expense reports ever again. It's easy to use. It gets completely up and running in less than 15 minutes. And right now you get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/Spicer, ramp.com/Spicer. And I'm telling you, you will not regret this. If you are the business owner or the decision maker when it comes to finances, this will be a game changer for your company and for your employees. Just a reminder, cards are issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC, terms and conditions apply. All right. Next week kicks off the DNC. This is not the DNC that they expected, is it? I mean, they've pushed out Biden. Now it's how do we rearrange things? So let me kind of walk you through the schedule, because right before, after I'm done, I'm going to get to the map to 270. Get your pencils out. I'm giving you a second to get those pencils out, because you're going to want to see where things changed since they pushed out Biden. I think some of this is going to shock you. There's a lot of updates, but we're going to go through it methodically because I want you to understand state by state how it goes. But let's talk about next week for a second. Monday night, this is unbelievable. The sitting president of the United States is going to kick off the convention. He was supposed to be the headliner Thursday night, right? Remember how Trump spoke Thursday night? The last night of the convention is when the headliner speaks. This guy's getting relegated to Monday night. He's the warm-up act. Tuesday night, and by the way, it'll be interesting does he talk about himself and his legacy, or does he try to promote Kamala? I mean, what an interesting dynamic that's going to play out. I'm going to be riveted by this. How long does he talk? I mean, I think he's dying to tell you about his legacy, and that, I mean, look, I wrote a book called Radical Nation. I've said this for a long time. This is all about cementing his legacy as the greatest progressive ever. And the idea that he gets to hand this off, maybe not in the way that he wanted to or when he wanted to, but he now gets to say, I made the first potential female black president. That was me, not Obama, not the Clintons, me. I will wonder how long he balances that. Tuesday night's going to be Barack Obama, and I think he'll steal the show. It's kind of funny. And then Wednesday and Thursday, they're saying that there's going to be this cameo appearance. Remember the fake phone call, by the way? Remember when when Biden asked Harris and they did this fake, oh, hey, Joe, oh, I'll do it with you. And then that's their MO. Like, I think that they're just going to do a lot of repeat, like things that they did last time. By the way, just so everyone is calmed down about this, there is no switching her out. It's done. The roll call vote happened. This is just a show. And then they will speak on Thursday, and we'll break it down all week long. I've got some great guests lined up. Talk about the polling, how it's changed, what's moving the needle, what's not, and how they're presenting themselves. Because I will be interested. I mean, they gotta keep their left happy. What are the protests going on outside? All of that. We'll talk about that. Just remember, though, this all is going to come down to turnout. That's all this is. Turnout operation. Who gets their people out to vote? That's how close it is in all these states. And I want you to keep that in mind as we go through the map to 270. That's why, the guest, I don't know if you remember Scott Pressler, we had him on, and he talks about registration. That's why this is so important. When you're winning states by 10,000 votes, having people registered and being able to turn them out, that's it. That's the whole ball game. What Scott Pressler and others are doing is critical. And remember that if you live in this. And by the way, making sure that they hear from us as to why it matters is also important. So just remember all of that. That is going to be literally the most important things. All right, I'm going to break down the map to 270. Hopefully you've got your pens and pencils because we're going to go state by state, west to east, north to south. Before I do that, I want to tell you about my friends at 4 Patriots. These folks, we may not be prepared. They allow us to be prepared. If you get a Patriot Power Generator 2000X in your house, like I do, have it right here. You can't see it, but I can. I'm prepared. When the power goes out for a day, a month, and that's not a joke. Sounds like Joe Biden. Not a joke, folks. But it's true. There's warnings about attacks on the grid. It's not just natural disasters. Will you be ready? Can you power all those things that matter? A fridge, the tablets, the phones that you'll need. The Patriot Power Generator 2000X answers that question. Yes, you'll be ready. And it runs off solar panels that come free with it. That's important. I used to have a gas power generator. You have to worry about whether or not you can get gas. Think about this. If the whole thing's down, can you actually pay for the gas? Can they pump the gas? With the Patriot Power Generator 2000X, all those questions are gone because you have solar panels that will power the thing for hours on end. The most powerful things, and it's portable. You don't have to worry about gas. You don't have to worry about fumes. You don't have to worry about noise. All done. So go to 4patriots.com/Spicer, 4patriots.com/Spicer, and get peace of mind when you get a Patriot Power Generator 2000X. All right, I want to break this whole map down for you. Let's go. All right, guys, let's just, I want to start with where we were last time. Remember how we've done this. If you've seen this in the past, we go west to east. We'll start with the Biden states, the Harris states. Caught myself. Tough, right? So I'm going to start with the one on the Dem side that I always forget because it's not part of the Continental. With all due respect to Hawaii, I forget it. So we're going to shade in Hawaii right off the bat. Okay? That puts him on the map, puts her on the map. I'm sorry, I keep defaulting. It's hard, right? Once you got pushed out, I got to get my pronouns straight. All right, so we're going to start at the top and move down. Washington, 12 electoral votes. Put those in the Harris column. I'm going to have to keep saying Harris. It's going to take a while. Oregon, 8. Put those in the Harris column. All of California is 54. No change here. They transfer over to Harris. Let's move a little east. Same as before, right? Colorado, 10 electoral votes in the Harris column. Illinois, 19 electoral votes in the Harris column. Interestingly, right, you would think to yourself, okay, what else right there? Nothing. We're going all the way to the northeast, right? Let's go into New England, if you will. Vermont, add those 3 electoral votes, and all of the Bernie Sanders country goes with it. New York, 28 electoral votes. Put that in the Harris column. I'm going to have to say Harris column over and over again. I'm sorry if it sounds annoying, but I need to retrain my brain. Ever since he got pushed out, I keep wanting to say Biden. But look at this. It's already, I mean, you get these big states in there, right? California, New York. It adds up quickly, and you don't cover a lot of geography, do you? Look at that. Not a ton of blue on the map. Yet, they got a bunch of electoral votes in their pocket. All right, Massachusetts, add the 11. If my math is correct, that puts us at 149, right? and it doesn't cover a lot of that country. So Edward Island's 4, Connecticut's 7. Now, here's the first tweak I'm going to make since the last time we did this, since Harris became the nominee. Maine, I had shaded and said, and right now, I hate to tell you this, Maine is reverting back, except for Maine 2. So Maine 2, can we just put that as red? I'm going to do a little quick jaunt. Make that red. That's Maine's 2nd electoral district. Remember, 2 states do this, Nebraska and Maine. We'll talk about Nebraska in just a minute. But we're going to put Maine's 2nd district. We're just going to give that to Trump right now. I know this is out of order. And we're going to go back to Maine and give the 3 other electoral votes. We're going to make those blue. There is no evidence that this is going to be competitive anymore yet. Now, 90, we're still a couple months out here. So let's just pump the brakes. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the Trump campaign now needs to show that they're going to make this competitive post-Biden. Post-Biden, it was easy. You're going to see a bunch of these states, folks. I'm sorry to disappoint you. With Biden, you had a lot of people on the Dem and Independent side saying, I don't know about this guy. Harris and Walz put this back in play. All right. So we're done with New England for now. Let's go to the Mid-Atlantic. New Jersey, 14 electoral votes in the Harris column. Delaware's 3 electoral votes. Guess what? They stay in they move to the Harris column. I was going to say Biden again. It's Biden state, but they go there. All right. Maryland has 10 electoral votes. There was never any question about that. Put those in the Harris column. D.C. gets 3 electoral votes. We're going to put them in. Just a quick reminder, especially now that Tim Walz is, and I brought this up last time, I cannot refrain from talking about this. Make sure you remember when you're talking to folks my concern about D.C. If the Democrats ever get fully back in control, they want to make D.C. a state. Okay? That's their stated goal. That's not some right-wing theory. That is their goal, their mission. Why does that matter? Quick little refresher in here. D.C. used to be a perfect square. The framers wanted a federal district that wasn't part of any state. They felt like the federal government shouldn't be part of a state. So they took parts of Virginia and parts of Maryland, and it used to be a perfect square. If you ever look at D.C. now, you're saying, God, it doesn't look like a perfect square. Why? Well, in the late 1800s, they gave back to what Virginia they had taken. Okay, so I don't even know how to make it look. But it looks like a square at the top that was part of Maryland that was taken at the bottom. For example, when you fly into Reagan National Airport, DCA, they'll say you're in D.C. You're not. You're in Virginia. That used to be part of it. They gave it back. Why is that important? Well, here's my take on this. If Democrats really care about voting rights, then give back the portion of Maryland from which you took. Same as you did with Virginia. If you don't need what you took from Maryland, give it back. There's precedent. That's what they did with the part of Virginia that they weren't using. The Democrats want to make D.C., and it's several 100,000 people, a state. Why? Because they want the 2 United States senators that will guarantee be Democrat. D.C. votes 95-5. Just remember that. That's the goal. It's an easy fix. If you care about voting rights, you easily can blow this argument away and say, great, just give back to Maryland, which is Maryland. Make a federal district, which is just the National Mall from Capitol Hill, from the Capitol to the White House. No one lives there. No one votes there. And you give everyone else back to Maryland. It's an easy fix. Just always remember that, though, because the talking point is easy. Voting rights. We want representation. It's easy. Give it back. But just remember. Okay. So pretty much guaranteed right now, Harris has 193. Okay. That's where things stand right now. And we're going to give her Nebraska's second congressional district. Now, I said that quickly a moment ago. Reminder, Maine and Nebraska split their electoral votes by congressional district. Only 2 states that do that. But Trump will win Maine's 2nd district, and Biden will, in all likelihood, win Nebraska's 2nd. Now, by the way, just total side note here. I would not be surprised, because Tim Walz was born in Nebraska, that he might try to play a Joe Biden and be like, Joe's always like, I'm Scranton Joe, because they want 19 electoral votes out of Pennsylvania. Mark my words, somehow they're going to start to claim that he's from Nebraska and try to make more of a play in Nebraska. I don't think it's going to matter or work. You can't be that liberal from Nebraska and think anyone's going to do it, except in the 2nd district, which they pretty much are going to get anyway. But just trust me that the new narrative is going to be somehow that he's like the Scranton Joe of Nebraska. Whatever. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt this conversation, but I want to thank you if you've subscribed to the Sean Spicer Show. We've grown so much in the past year, and it's because of you. If you haven't subscribed, please do me a favor. Hit that subscription button below. If you are subscribed, do me one more favor. Please share this with other folks and ask them to subscribe. Potential guests, sponsors, and new audiences, that's what we're trying to reach. So every time that you can share the show and ask them not only to watch, but to subscribe, that helps us continue to grow and bring the show and widen its appeal. Thank you for all you're doing. Please continue to support the show and share it. All right, let's bounce over to the Trump side and look at what I think are the givens from him. Okay, he's going to win Alaska. I cannot remember. I got to make sure we get that shaded in right there. So 3 electoral votes from Alaska jump in. This is going to be important. Just remember that I said this at the beginning. The Maine, the Nebraska, and the Alaska. Kind of rhymes, doesn't it? These are all going to be important down the road. Trust me, in a few minutes, you're going to have your mind blown. Okay? One quick thing that I think is important. We had Richard Hudson on the other day, the congressman from North Carolina, the chairman of the National Republican Congressional Committee. He talked about this race in Alaska. Mary Peltola is the current Democrat that represents all of Alaska. It's got one Congress member at large. Republicans last time ran 2. You remember that? You had Sarah Palin and Mark Besich, and they went at each other. And Alaska stupidly has ranked choice voting, and they fought it out, and none of their people would vote for the other one. So it came down. A lot of Republicans put Mary Peltola as their number 2, and she squeaks by on ranked choice voting. The default should be a Republican should win Alaska. How she's there is amazing. If Republicans can stay focused, and Richard Hudson told us the electoral vote, the candidate should be the lieutenant governor. They still have a ranked choice voting there, and there's still other Republicans running. This should help free up that problem. Keep this in mind in a few minutes, because I'm going to tell you why it matters more than you could ever think. Okay? All right, so let's go Trump states. North, Northwest down. Montana, 4. Idaho, 4. Those are both, again, no questions about that, right? Wyoming's 3. They go into the Trump column. Utah, 6. Trump column. No changes so far in this part of the map for Trump, okay? Now back up north and moving south. North Dakota's 3. South Dakota's 3. And Nebraska, we just discussed. Trump gets 4 out of there. They have 5 total electoral votes. We already gave the 2nd congressional district to Biden, right? So that leaves 4. Trump's going to get those. Nothing's changed from when we did the map last time, just reminding you why that goes the way it does. Kansas is going to put 6 in the Trump column, as will Oklahoma. Okay, no changes so far on this front. This is what the map starts to look like. Oh, you see the red there, though. It's a chunk of geography already taken by the Trump side, but it doesn't add up the same way, does it? Because they get those big urban areas, California, New York, Illinois, right? Adds up a lot quicker electorally. So you see this. Trump's significantly behind in the Electoral College. Obviously, we're not done yet. Let's go to Iowa. So we go back up north and come back straight down. Iowa put those 6 in. Missouri has 10. We're going to put those in. Arkansas, 6. No questions, right? That's pretty obvious. No one at play. Louisiana's 8 goes in the Trump column. And as you see, I mean, none of these are in dispute. I don't think anyone from the right or the left would argue that any of these states are other than solid blue, solid red. So let's go back up north and head down south again. These are our solid red states. Indiana's 11 electoral votes. Again, right? There's no one that's going to say, I know someone the other day on one of those morning meetings that we have said that they thought Indiana could be in play. My goodness, every Republican, every constitutional office statewide is Republican. I mean, I think this is not going to be a tough one. Kentucky's 8 electoral votes in the Trump column. Tennessee has 11. They're going to go in the Trump column. Mississippi, same deal here, right? 6. They're going to go in the Trump column. Alabama's 9 go in the Trump column. Okay. If I am correct, and I'm just looking down here, we should have close to, well, let's keep going, and then we'll pause in a second. Okay. Ohio, let's go back up north and come back down again. Ohio's got 17. Okay, they're in the Trump column. It's interesting, by the way, you look at both Ohio and Florida to some extent. Those were the big states. You go back a few cycles when Bush was running. Remember, Ohio, as Ohio goes. Now Ohio is ruby red. Some of these states, it's interesting to watch their evolution. West Virginia to some degree, but it's not as big of an electoral prize. But Ohio's not even in question now. You've got both senators. Well, actually, you will. Sherrod Brown is running against Bernie Moreno. I do think that's going to be a pickup. This is going to be a hard year, especially if the Harris campaign, and I don't think they will play in Ohio. That leaves Sherrod Brown hanging out there on his own. I think he goes. Bernie Moreno wins. He was on the show not too long ago, right? You've got all their state constitutional offices held by Republicans. So this is the year I think that Sherrod Brown goes bye-bye. Bernie Moreno comes in, and that's a big help on the map, just as an FYI. So just as a reminder, some of these states, and I've told you this before, the reason we had Richard Hudson on was because of how important the House is for his agenda, for the Trump agenda. In a few minutes, I'm going to tell you why there's a bigger reason. And I, honest to goodness, think that your mind is going to be blown when I tell you this. And you're going to remember why I keep harping back to the importance of Alaska. Okay? But I think that with Ohio, it's also important to the Senate. Right? So right now, the Dems have a 1-seat advantage. Joe Manchin is retiring. West Virginia is going in the Trump column. Jim Justice, the current governor there, will become the next senator from there. It's not even close. I think he'll win with 70% or darn close to it. Okay. That gets them a tie. Trump wins, J.D. Vance becomes the tie vote. But you look at a state like Ohio that I'm in right now, Sherrod Brown, I don't see how he holds on. Bernie Moreno is running a great campaign on the issues. He's a businessman. I mean, it's like perfect timing in the perfect political environment. Trump's going to run up the score there. So this is big for the Senate. We need a 1-seat majority at the very least to get Trump's nominees through. So, and to stop Chuck Schumer. I mean, anyway, so that's why I wanted to pause right there and say that. But I did digress. West Virginia, I hadn't gotten to. Let's put those 4 electoral votes in the Trump column. South Carolina is 9. We're going to put in the Trump column. And then we're going to put Florida's 30 in the Trump column. Okay. You can see now we're at 179, and we've got 194 for Biden. Okay. I did skip Texas on the way down. I apologize. I don't know how I did that. We got to put Texas's 40 in there. There we go. Let's make that red. And here we go. We are now at 219 for Trump. This is where we should be. We did put that 1 electoral vote in there. Okay. So this is where the map stands right now. We've got 130 outstanding. So let's start shading in some of this. This is where the map has changed since the last time, aside from Maine, which I made earlier. I made the call earlier. I want to start with the ones that I think are not as competitive last time and not in Trump's favor, just to get it out of the way. Okay. New Hampshire has 4 electoral votes. The Real Clear Politics average right now has Harris at 51, Trump at 45.3. Okay. All 3 polls recently show her from 4 to 7 points up. I'm sorry. This is right now. I'm going to put this one in the solid blue category. Okay. I'm not saying that it can't happen. We've got a ways to go. Okay. In 2016, Trump only lost by 2 points. He lost by 7 in 2017. There is still a chance that this could come into play for a variety of reasons. Who knows? There is a gubernatorial race there. Chris Sununu, the current governor, not running for re-election. That could have a significant outcome. We'll see. I think Kelly Ayotte is the favorite right now, former senator on the Republican side. Late primary here. in New Hampshire. So let's see how this plays out. But for right now, we're gonna go with putting the 4 electoral votes from New Hampshire in the Harris column. Okay. 121, I think, are what's remaining. So let's kind of plow through this. Virginia. Okay, guys, I hate to do this. I live and vote in Virginia. The last time Virginia went Republican was 2004. Sean Spicer, fun fact, trivia question. I was an elector from the 8th Congressional District in 2004. It's the last time that Virginia actually voted Republican, just 20 years ago. Okay. It was tied when Biden was there for a lot of the reasons we've discussed. Questions about his fitness for office, a lot of the issues that were stemming and concerns. Right now, and I would say this the same way I did with New Hampshire, things could change. Okay? Things could change. I don't mean to be doom and gloom on this, but I got to be real with you. I got to tell you where I see things right now, and none of the polling shows since Harris took over that it's that close. In 2020, just so you know, Biden won by 10 points, 54-44. 54-44. Incidentally, all the polling right now has Trump at 44. So he hasn't eroded any support. He's getting what he got last time. Okay, not a shocker there. New polling, though, shows Harris right now at 49-44. So she's below where Biden was, not surprising. He's at 44 where he was. I don't think any of this should be a shock. She's not as well liked, and so she's not where Biden was in 2020. But she's still ahead. Trump's where he was last time, 44. Okay. As I said to you, even when it was tied, Trump had to put resources into it, get out the vote efforts. I mean, that's in a tight state. That's what you do. And so let's see. Maybe they choose to in these final couple months. But for now, I'm going to put Harris. I'm going to put Virginia, the blue column, in the Harris tally. Okay? 13 electoral votes in her direction. Again, if you disagree with me, show me the polling or the data. But so far, that's where we are. All right, I want to go up north to Minnesota. Biden, the last time we did this, was up by 3 points in the Real Clear Average politics of polls. Harris now has her up 51-43. Okay? One poll, in fact, of the several that are in Minnesota has her up 10, especially post Mike Waltz, Tim Waltz. God, why do I want to say that? Especially post Tim Waltz, the governor, her pick. I don't see Minnesota in play. I mean, it would be stupid to put a ton of money into a state like that, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. But I would put the 10 electoral votes in her column. Okay? So right now we've got this. The Democrats at 221, the Republicans at 219. This is a tight race, isn't it? And I think I told you, I'm just making sure I get this right. This is, the consensus map has this at 226, 251. So we're getting close to where I think the Democrats' sort of current floor is. Okay? By the way, on Virginia, one other thing that I wanted to say is we're going to have Hung Kao on coming up. He is the Senate candidate there. He's a former explosive EOD guy in the Navy, retired Navy captain running against Tim Kaine. I'll get his take on Virginia. And also, how vulnerable is Tim Kaine? You remember he was the milquetoast running mate to Hillary Clinton. He's sort of, a lot of people are saying it's another Tim. But I think Waltz is further to the left of him, by the way. I mean, Tim Kaine was kind of vanilla and boring. And he's liberal. But this guy, Waltz, I mean, there's no question about it. He brags about how he got one from an A as a member of Congress with the NRA to like an F. I don't think that's going to play well in a lot of rural America. The transgender stuff, I'm going to build a ladder factory that's 30 feet high if there's a 29-foot wall. That guy, the guy that is inviting people to come into the country illegally, he's pretty leftist. And I know they wanted to make him out to seem like some cuddly coach. He's not. He's a hardcore progressive, and he says it. Again, this is like the conversation we had with Harris. He's on tape saying these things. We don't need to make it up. Okay, so that covers Virginia. I mentioned Minnesota. That puts those 10 in there. Let's go to New Mexico. There was a hope, I think, among many, that New Mexico and its 5 electoral votes could possibly be in play. Not anymore. I'm going to put this one in solid blue. Okay? Again, I'm not trying to be a naysayer. I'm getting the bad. Don't worry, there's good news coming. But I just wanted to give you a sense of why I think this. There's no evidence that anyone's playing in New Mexico. And until then, again, like Virginia, this one hasn't been won since 2004. And even then, it was razor thin. So the 5 are going in their column. All right. Now I want to get you to what I call the new battleground. Okay. North Carolina has 16 electoral votes. The real clear average of polls has Trump up 48-45. Why is that important? It's important because once you hit 50 in the average, that's a pretty good sign you're going to carry it. Like once you get 50, right? You can't, there's no way someone can beat you. He's at 48. That's a good sign. Let me kind of talk you through a couple of the most recent polls. The CBS poll, which is likely voters, has Trump at 50, Harris 47. That's a good sign. As I said, he's at 50, right? She's 47, and I don't think the Waltz pick did anything to help there. Not that that was a big thing. The Bloomberg poll has Trump up 48-47. Again, he's up. Trump has won North Carolina twice. I think the Dems' whole strategy is, well, Mark Robinson, the lieutenant governor, they believe he's flawed and unpopular, and he is running for governor. I don't think so. I think this state has gotten redder, not bluer. We're going to keep an eye out of this. Remember, Trump won in 2016 and in 2020. I'm going to put this in the light red category for now. Obviously, when you're that close, it's still worth watching. But there you go. Light red, it goes in the Trump column. And I would say that until the Harris campaign shows a real effort in North Carolina, we'll keep it that way, and it favors Trump. Nevada, 6 electoral votes. Let's go to the polling here. The CBS poll has Harris at 50, Trump at 48. The Public Opinion Strategies, which is a Republican polling group, did some outside work for a nonprofit group. They've got Trump at 46, Harris at 45. The Bloomberg poll that just came out has Harris at 45-47. This was light red. I want to keep this a toss-up for right now, okay? But I would say that I'm this close, and I will come back to it in a second, of putting this in the light red category. I think that Trump's no tax on tips thing is going to play big in Nevada. This is where a lot of culinary workers are, union workers overall, like the UAW. I mean the ones that work at casinos. This is going to be big for them. And how much do they message on them? I think that, not having the Harry Reid machine there, which is a big deal for several cycles, makes a difference, and it hurts the Democrats. Plus, you've got Sam Brown running the Navy, former Army captain, running against Jackie Rosen, the incumbent senator there. He's running a fabulous race. So there's going to be a lot of action there. I think that this is one state that flips to Trump. But let's just hold off for right now. I'll come back to it in a second. I want to go to Arizona, and it's 11 electoral votes. Okay. The Real Clear Average poll right now has has this at 48-45. Okay. Let me kind of walk you through right now. The CBS poll, I mentioned this before, likely voters, has it completely dead even tied. 49-49. Okay. I think there was a lot of excitement about Mark Kelly, the senator from there, potentially getting picked, and that's faded, obviously. Public Opinion Strategies poll has Trump up 48-43. 48-43, 5-point margin of error. And the Bloomberg poll has this Harris 49, Trump 47. I think, and by the way, there's a big Senate race there. Most of you remember the Kari Lake race. This is going to be a very, very competitive race. Ruben Gallego is the current member of Congress that's the Dem nominee. He is currently up 47 to 43.6. It's a 3.4 average that he's over Kari Lake. So Kari Lake in the next couple months has really got to figure out how to get more money and more advertising, their ground game. There's a lot of action I know that's taking place from outside groups on the ground there in Arizona. That's going to benefit her. But I still think this is a light red state, and I'm going to shade it light red because the immigration issue, the border issue, the economic issues, Arizona, there's no other state in play that feels the consequences of this like Arizona. I think Mark Kelly could have alleviated some of this had she picked him. Maybe. I still don't get how you go, hey, we're in complete chaos here, but now that I'm on the ticket, I'm going to explain to her how bad you screwed it up. I get the mental gymnastics that they would have done. I'm just not sure that it would have worked. People aren't that stupid. But I think people do like the guy. He's got a compelling story. He was an astronaut, a veteran. He's married to Gabby Giffords, right? So maybe, but it doesn't matter because it didn't happen. And I think like Pennsylvania, there's a little bit of, hey, we got snubbed. So we're not going to be all for you, Kamala. So for that reason, I'm going to put Arizona and its 11 electoral votes in the Trump column. Remember, it was a fluke. And there's plenty of issues. I don't have the time to go through all of them, but there was a lot of problems in Arizona. And I think they've fixed a lot of them. The one downside is, by the way, you now have a Democratic Secretary of State. You got a Democratic governor. That has shifted. That was a bonus. You might not have liked the last governor, but having a Republican was helpful to us. That being said, it was a fluke. And there was a lot of issues. I think it reverts back. Okay? All right, let's move to Georgia. The CBS poll has this at Trump 50, Harris 47. Go back to what I said a minute ago about how 50 is an important number. I don't think this is a big surprise. I will say this. Look, a lot of things came out of this. Brian Kemp is the governor there. He's very popular. That's a fact. He's endorsed Trump. That's a fact. He wants Trump to win. Why? Not maybe because he doesn't even like the guy. I don't know. I don't care. But here's the point. He wants Trump to win because he wants a Republican back in the White House. He wants to show his political prowess. And I think he wants to run for president, to be honest with you. So he needs to deliver Georgia. I say this because we don't need any more infighting, folks. President Trump, I get it. You don't like the guy. But we need him for now. And there are people who have said and done worse things. If you want to be mad at him on November 6th. We need Georgia. 16 electoral votes. I think they're there. All right, so I just told you the CBS poll, Trump 50, Harris 47. The Bloomberg poll has it completely tied at 47. The Real Clear Politics average has Trump at 47.8 and Harris at 47. Okay? I'm going to call this light red because this is a big, big deal right now. Now, I want to just make sure I've got this right. This is where things are going to be really interesting. If you look at where things are right now, I want to put Nevada in the Republican column because I think that ultimately it ends there. So if we can shade that light red for the sake of this, there we go. Now look where we are. The Dems are at 226. The Republicans are at 268. What does that mean? Look at how close Trump is to winning. All he needs, look at that. All he needs is 2. Where am I going to get 2? Well, you got 3 states left. He just needs to win 1. He just needs to win 1. By the way, remember how I was telling you, this is where I was going to tell you this. Think about those states. Nebraska, Maine. You pick off one and it suddenly changes real quick, doesn't it? Doesn't it? All right, Wisconsin. 10 electoral votes. Harris, 49. Trump, 50 in the CBS poll. In the public opinion strategy poll, Harris is up 48-46. The Bloomberg poll has Harris up 49-47. It's a dead heat. Keep this unshaded for just a second. Michigan, unshaded. Currently, last time we did this as well, 15 electoral votes. Same as Wisconsin. The average has this right now at Harris 48.3 to Trump 46.23. This is literally a dead heat within the margin of error. CBS has this as a dead heat, 48-48 likely voters. Public opinion strategies, dead heat, 45-45. Now, Bloomberg has this at 53-42. That is definitely an outlier. There's no question. There's no way she's up 10. But I'm telling you, the way that Trump has made an overtures to the Teamsters, the way that he has, the Muslim vote, the anti-Semitic vote that's there. Yes, they dodged a bullet with Shapiro, but I still think it's pervasive. We'll see about how this plays out at the convention, how big of this is. Outside, in particular, not inside the hall. We're going to keep this unshaded for right now. But then here's the big prize that we've always talked about. Pennsylvania. Right now, CBS dead tie, 50-50. Public opinion strategies has Kamala Harris at 48, Trump at 45. That's within the margin of error. Trump is up by 2 in the Real Clear Politics average. Remember, he won this by 0.5 in 16, and in the books, Biden is in with just a point win. This is a big deal. For fun, just do me a favor. I want you to take all 3 states and shade them light blue. Shade all 3 of those light blue. And I want to show you what happens. Okay, 270, 268. Look at that. Look at how close this could come. If they win all 3 of those blue wall states they talk about, look at where this thing ends up. Now, just for fun, switch Maine's 1st congressional district and put that, just for fun, into the Trump column. Just for fun. So take that one Biden congressional district and put it in. And what do we have here? We end up 269 to 269. Mind's blown. What happens then? It goes to the House of Representatives. Why does this matter? This goes back to what I teased you about with Alaska. Think about this. Every state then gets a vote. Alaska gets a vote. North Carolina gets a vote. California gets a vote. So what does that mean? Well, real quickly, if you look at a state, let's say they have 11 congressional districts. The election gets tossed to the House of Representatives. 6 Republicans, 5 Democrats. Then Virginia, let's just say, would cast its vote for Trump, 6-5. Every state gets 1 vote. So go back to my Alaska thing. Right now, Alaska would cast its vote for Harris-Walz if Mary Peltola wins again. If the lieutenant governor wins, it casts his vote for Trump. This is going to matter. This is another reason why the House matters. It could come down to this. 269, 269. But even if you don't, look at how close I had it before. 270 to 268. My goodness, folks, this is razor thin. Last time I showed you a huge blowout to Trump, it could get very, very tight. We're going to keep updating this map. We're going to do it a lot more times. But folks, I told you this before. Focus on our policies. We've got to get those swing voters over the fence. This is going to be a very, very tight election. Bookmark this, save it, share it. This is what matters. This is how you win. You got to get 270. I just showed you how close this could get, how it could end up tied and thrown to the House of Representatives. We need to double down and not allow it to be this close. All right, guys, next week we have a great show lined up for you. All of the guests to counter what's happening at the DNC, to break down what is working and what is not. Remember to always join us for the premiere on the show, 6 o'clock every night Eastern Standard Time. And do me a favor, call 5 friends, text them, say, hey, join us for the premiere. That's what helps this show grow, and I can't thank you enough. As we approach the 1-year anniversary of this show, it's because of you. So thank you for that. We'll see you back here on the Sean Spicer Show on Monday. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.